am Lee Bombach. This is my husband, Jeff. This is one of our 4 children, Lizzie. And we have one that's at Auburn that's 21, and Lizzie's there. She's 20. We have a junior at Briarwood, and we have a 2nd grader at home. Wow. If you told me I would be doing this 3 years ago, no way. And if you told me I was Catholic 3 years ago, no way. But we were at the Presbyterian Church for a long time. We met at Auburn, and we've been married, 22 years. And about maybe 13 years ago, we had really 2 conversions, and I really want to focus on the 2nd conversion. But the first conversion started about maybe 10, 13 years ago when my husband was an elder in the PCA and started studying communion. And if you know anything about Protestantism, or different denominations, you can take communion once a year, you can take it once a month, once every week. It's just kind of random. So he started this studying and started reading, ancient church history, the catechism, all these different things. And basically, he came up with the thought that we needed to be Catholic. Well, I grew up in Baton Rouge with Catholics. And I was a believer, I was a Christian, and the Catholics that I knew were not like you all. They were very different. And I thought, there is no way that we are going to be Catholic. There's no way. They're wild, they're crazy, no. So I strongly objected. And what happened was it really put a huge rift in our marriage and in our family. And so much so, one night we got into a really, really big fight about it. And I thought, I was kind of like Kimberly Hahn. I was like, okay, I'm out of here. You have gone off the deep end. There's no way. And, but one night we went to bed, and literally I woke up the next morning, and the Lord, it was just like the divine 2x4. He hit me over the head and said, you need to become Catholic. I was like, okay. So I called Jeff, he's at work. I'm like, hey, I'm going to become Catholic. I was like, what? Yeah. And so then at the time, we had one daughter that was a freshman in college, and Lizzie was still at home. She was a senior, and we decided we'd go through RCIA together and kind of investigate this whole thing. And to be perfectly honest, I went through RCIA ready to prove the Catholic Church wrong. I was ready. I had my Bible. I was just ready to say, okay, here's where y'all are wrong. You messed up. This is really bad. And so we started going through RCIA, and it really hit me one night. I've always wondered why, if God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, why are there over 30,000 Protestant churches, different Protestant churches? And I love the Old Testament and the ways that the Jews worshiped, and the way that he commanded them so strictly to worship him. And I thought, why would he just willy-nilly say, no, just go do whatever you want to do? That never made sense to me. And so the process of becoming Catholic intellectually started there, and I realized, oh, this is his church. This is his one true church. And so I got it. I was like, okay. So intellectually, I think that was our first conversion with them and with me, and so we, became Catholic, and it was great. But then the second conversion, and the one that I really have felt very led to share with you all tonight, happened. I did not realize through the course of us becoming Catholic that it had really, really weighed heavily on our marriage and on our family, because we were so divided for so long in our faith and in our church and things like that. And so one night, I literally woke up in the middle of the night again, and I was very, very aware that our family was under spiritual attack. And I woke Jeff up, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, but we're under attack, and it's bad. It's really bad. And kind of went on, and then maybe a week or so later, I was running and praying, and the Lord spoke to me, not audibly, but just in my prayer, and he said, you're going to have a really, really hard cross to bear. And I was like, okay, all right, I can do it. And I didn't realize how much in danger my family or my marriage was because of the years of that decade of us going in different directions spiritually. But it happened so that I realized that my husband wanted a divorce, not now, but, and that he wanted to leave us. I was like, wow, okay, didn't see that coming at all. And so we were going to take the kids to the beach and explain to them that we were going to separate. And it was so, I didn't think it was right, but at the same time, I kind of didn't know what to think. But Lizzie suggested that we pray the rosary. And I was like, the rosary, that Hail Mary thing? I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I've heard about it, but I don't know. And so Jeff had gone to bed that night, and we, the kids and I all sat around and we prayed the rosary for the first time ever. And went to bed and woke up, and the next day, Jeff said, this is not right. This is not right. I don't know what's going on here, but this is not right. We do not need to separate. And so that began a transformation within our family. It was beautiful, it was wonderful, but we needed to be humbled. We did. We thought we knew everything. We thought we had all the answers. We looked good on the outside to people, but inside we were really struggling. We were really, really struggling. And I felt, I'll be honest, I felt really led to share this with you because I think there's so many other people out there that are really, really struggling that don't want to say anything. And so that's why I wanted to share with y'all. It may not be y'all, but it may be the people you know. Since that happened, we began praying the rosary as a family. We began praying as a family. I mean, here we were, like, you know, these Sunday school teaching, Bible thumping people that never really prayed together as a family. And now every night we're praying together as a family, you know, all together on our knees each night. And it's really been beautiful. It's been hard. I mean, we've got our struggles, but it was wonderful. And so then, after that, Lizzie brought home this thing from Auburn, from their church down there, and it was this thing called 33 Days to Morning Glory. And I was like, Mary, what? I was like, what are you talking about? So it was this little book, you know, and we were like, well, consecration to Mary, but I don't know, we love Jesus, you know. We're like, Mary's okay, she's good. But we started reading through it and going through it, and we were like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to consecrate ourselves to Mary. And the funny thing is, our girls stopped doing it at the time because, it's very different if you're a Protestant coming into that. But Jeff and I both consecrated ourselves to Mary on January 1st, 2 years ago. And it was the most beautiful, wonderful thing. And since then, all of our kids have. And our son, who's 17, is consecrated himself to Mary also. And I guess that's my, what I really want to share with you is that that Mary really crashed into our home and into our family and really brought us closer to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And one thing I forgot too, during all of this, when I was really struggling with being Catholic and my family and my marriage, I went to the chapel to pray one day, and I walked into the chapel, and, you know, I remember through RCA, the red candle, okay, Jesus is there, and, you know, but it just didn't click. It just didn't really click. And I remember walking into that chapel one day when I was heartbroken and hurt and anxious, and literally I was the only one there. When I opened that door and I saw that light, I knew God was there. I knew it. I mean, it was as if like something came out of that tabernacle and went like this and said, come here, I'm here, I'm here. And I literally fell on my face and just cried and cried and cried. And I was like, Lord, you are here. You really are here. And it was the most amazing thing. And I think that that's what really catapulted me into having faith and hope. And it's just, I mean, I could talk here for hours and tell you story after story after story, but it's already past my bedtime. But anyway, so I want to leave you with two important things. One is that stay close to the sacraments. Stay close to Jesus. I mean, I think now that I get to go to daily mass, I'm thinking, oh wow, how many years have I not been doing this? That now I get to do this every day. Stay close to the sacraments. And also, stay close to the Blessed Mother. She truly, truly interceded for our family, and here we are. So.
I guess I would just emphasize what Lee was saying in encouraging y'all and y'all encouraging others. You know, I wore the badge of a Christian for a lot of years, and I wore it well enough so that people made me an elder in my church and other things like that when I was in my 30s. But what I didn't have was humility. And what I even didn't realize was how deeply our Lord desires that out of his fathers and his mothers, his children. What Our Lady did for us, and there's so much to the story, but in using Lee and the sufferings that she went through, the sufferings that I put her through, that Our Lady was able to carry her, literally, and save me through that. I literally had turned my back on God. And that day, consecrating ourselves, I mean, I consider that my conversion day is January 1st, 2014, when Our Lady took me back from the brink. And so all that to say, there are a lot of people out there that are hurting, that seem to have it all together. And maybe I'm speaking to somebody in here, maybe I'm speaking to one of y'all's neighbors, I don't know. Don't be shy in offering them the Blessed Mother. Don't be shy, even if they're not Catholic. She's the mother of all Christians. At our baptism, she becomes our mother in the order of grace. Don't deny that to them. Show it to them. And don't be shy about it. And really, I don't have much else to offer other than that. So, God bless y'all.
My name is Casey Maddox, and I want to share a little bit about our Blessed Mother and my relationship with her and my consecration to her. I was not raised Catholic. I married a Catholic, came into the church, went through RCIA, actually did it twice. I really liked it and wanted to learn more. There was always something more to know, but then kind of became stagnant with it. A very wise priest, he actually during confession gave me a penance of saying a Hail Mary, saying the Magnificat, and it's like, I don't really do that. I'm not Italian, I'm not an old lady. Now I am, but I didn't realize that was something that could be for me as well. So I prayed about it. The priest said, it's like any relationship, it has to develop. So I prayed and prayed and prayed and went to the chapel one day and just said, Jesus, if you want me to love your mother, show me how. And I felt a heat that I have never felt before come over my entire body. And it was very obvious that Jesus says, it's okay for you to love my mother, and it's okay for my mother to love you. So that's how it began. I started to learn how to pray the rosary. I always had, my cheat sheets, and that was okay, and did that. When it came up with the 33 days to morning glory consecration, it's like, okay, I'll read this. I struggled, I read things, I didn't understand. I would call people, I would ask, is this okay, is this not okay? Went ahead with the prayers at the end and said, you know what, okay, I'm gonna make this consecration. Jesus, if it's wrong, then show me it's wrong. I did it. Then we did it again, more formally, with my husband, and it was a beautiful experience. And we were together with lots of other ladies and just making that consecration. I brought my 3 troublemaking boys with us over there and said, "You're getting that grace whether you like it or not." So they were there too. So I was telling a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a while about the consecration. In the first one, I mentioned the dates of the first one. Well, she said, "Do you not realize that the date that you made your first consecration was the date that your dad called you and said, 'Hey, how do you become Catholic? Because I think I want to be Catholic.'" So my mom and my dad are now part of the church, and it's just a beautiful chapter in our lives that we can share together. It's just a beautiful thing. My mother-in-law, who did pray the rosary, I was talking to her just the other night, actually, about the importance of our times and the rosary and how it is a weapon against evil. We decided we were going to pray the rosary daily. We did that. Just this beautiful conversation just about the power of the rosary. We were leaving the restaurant, so we were walking down. We wanted to walk down this grassy area, but I remember I had my mother-in-law with me, and she's a very fashionable grandmother, and she had wonderful shoes on, and she could not make that embankment without falling. So we took the roundabout way and went down the concrete steps, and there's a huge light pole right there. On that light pole was this little rosary right here, waiting for me. And I've since learned that that's called a signal grace, and that's one of the extra little special kisses from heaven that our Blessed Mother and Jesus gives us.
Hi, I'm Lizzie Bombach. I am a junior at Auburn University, and I want to share about my consecration to our Blessed Mother Mary. So 3 years ago, I received my first communion into the Catholic Church. I grew up Presbyterian, and also not just Presbyterian, but very anti-Catholic. And I was always taught that you only pray to Jesus, maybe and God the Father and the Holy Spirit, but absolutely no saints, absolutely no Mary. Don't have anything to do with Mary, because the Catholics believe that, and they are not Christians. I was literally taught this anti-Catholic mindset, and that's all I knew. And my dad, as an elder, which was basically a place of authority in the Presbyterian Church, he started studying communion and liturgy. And of course, when you start studying that, you get led to the Catholic Church and where it all came from. And so he took that to prayer, and it actually took him 10 years before he could actually make the decision, because it was going to be very strenuous on our family, because we've been raised anti-Catholic in such a very Southern Presbyterian world. There's a huge world out there that we had no idea was filled with Catholics. And so anyways, we eventually all came into the church, thanks to my dad's prayerful heart and our own desire to seek God's will for truth. So I received my first communion. I loved the Eucharist. I loved being Catholic, but I held Mary at very much of an arm's length. I could not imagine praying the Hail Mary or even praying to her, asking her for help. And I just didn't think I needed it. I thought I had Jesus, and that is all I need. Like, why pray to Mary when I could pray to Jesus? So anyways, as the years went on, I entered into my first year at Auburn. There was a lot of problems going on at home, and my parents were about to be separated, and I had some friends who were just going through hard times, and I just was very broken, and the Lord really showed me I do need help in any way possible. And I was at a conference. It was a Focus conference in the winter of that year, and they were handing out these books called 33 Days to Morning Glory, and it was about consecration to Mary, technically consecration to Jesus, but through Mary. And so I got it, but I was very, very hesitant to enter into it. And I even picked it up and read it a couple times, like halfway through, and I put it down. I was like, no, I can't do that. That's too far. Like, I am not going to consecrate my entire life, every sacrifice I make, all my good works and all my weaknesses to Mary. Like, I don't even understand where that comes from. So I still had that at arm's length. But it wasn't until I started praying the rosary for the intention of my family, of keeping us together, that I started to see how her grace seeps in to those who call on her for help. And it was just so evident, and it would have been so foolish of me to not have recognized that it was Our Lady and that was coming from her, and that it's not that she wants to take glory away from God, and it's not that she is exalted on the same level as God. Like, if you look at any image of her, she's always looking down, she's always pointing to Jesus, and that's exactly what she did. She wanted to push us towards Jesus because we didn't know how to do that by ourselves. And so finally I decided to make my consecration February 11th on the Feast of Our Lady of Lourdes. And I can literally pinpoint in my life, that was 2 years ago, and I can pinpoint how much she has just worked in my heart once I gave it to her, because she formed Christ in her womb, and Christ submitted himself to her, to be obedient to her. And as a follower of Christ, I can't do any less. And so I did the same thing that my Lord Jesus did, and I gave myself to her entirely so that she can make me Christ-like. And she does. And it's so cool to see testimony after testimony, not only mine, but my parents and my siblings and my friends who have done it too. Just how giving everything into her hands. She is the mother of Christians. She gives life. She bears fruit. Constantly, she's a spiritual mother. And so giving that into her hands, she can distribute the graces from those sacrifices to the souls who need it most. Mothers know everything. They just do. My mother especially, she knows everything. And how much more does a perfect mother, the mother of God, how much more does she know everything? And she knows exactly what we all need. And just like at the wedding of Cana, how she interceded for that couple and they had no wine. She said, Jesus, they have no wine. And in the same way, when I come to her with my petitions, she says, Jesus, help Lizzie. She needs your help. And she prays for me. And my love for Jesus has increased so much because of her, because she loved Jesus the most. And I just hope that I can love Jesus as much as she did. And that's my prayer. So I encourage anyone who's wondering about marrying consecration to do it, because it's beautiful.